Do you think the world is going to be a better place next year? In the next decade? Can we end hunger, climate change, environment pollution, and achieve a greener world in the next 15 years? Creating a green ecological environment is the cross-century pursuit of human beings, an important aspect related to human survival and the most direct embodiment of the people-oriented principle. So, how should the creative space of green environment be defined? The definition will be the development that meets the needs of the present generation without endangering the ability of future generations to meet their needs. This definition was agreed and recognized at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development in 1992. To this end, the United Nations formulated Agenda 21, which is an action plan for sustainable development in the world. Back to the question, can greener world really be achieved in the next 15 years? Well, according to the world governments of the world, yes, we can. But shockingly, watch the news every day and the world seems to be going backwards, but not forwards. Planet constantly faces many types of environmental pollution. Majority of it comes from the overexploitation of natural resources at such an accelerated rate while the regenerated speed is lower compared to it. This major factor leads the environmental degradation due to incorrect use by us. Human consumption is predicated on the acquisition of goods that are beyond our ability to regenerate. Good days to everyone today. I would like to share about a greener world is necessary for our survival. As we can see, if we off track now, it's going harder and harder to hit the goal. The greener world is necessary for our survival and important to being so, as if you slow down the effects of climate change, conservation of natural resources and wildlife will begin to flourish again. First is greener will provide a better quality air to help reducing effects of climate change. Greenhouse effects is a natural phenomenon and an element of global warming and climate change. Without it, the earth will become too hot, thus hindering the development of species and the existence of life. In order to reduce gas emission in 1997, the United Nations called on several countries to sign a treaty, the Kyoto Protocol, which forced the greenhouse gas emission of industrialized countries to decrease by 5.2% compared with the average level of 1990. Gas emission must be controlled in two different proportions, depending on whether they refer to vehicle emission or emission involving the whole industry. Truck and automobile engines are important sources of these pollutants. In order to reduce emission, it is recommended to take preventive and cleaning measures for the gas emitted by the engine before it is discharged to atmosphere. In short, we know that a greener world will simultaneously reduce our emission as much as possible and as rapidly as possible. That means that the energy sector and the industrial sector, agriculture, and everything you can imagine. Well, see from another perspective, reforestation at a global scale made the world greener by plantation could help capture atmospheric carbon and mitigate climate change. Plants absorb carbon and provide oxygen for the environment through photosynthesis. This is the process of their feeding and thus being able to grow and develop correctly. In order to realize it, they need chlorophyll, a substance that exists in the leaf of vegetables and is the reason for its unique green color. For an example, a forest of 50-year-old oak trees would absorb or sequester about 30,000 pounds of CO2 per acre. Simply put, trees capture carbon dioxide and provide oxygen. So, greener world provides a better quality air to help it reduce the effects of climate change. Second is greener world will take away our reliance on these resources, thereby conservation of natural resources. Fossil fuel, also known as mineral fuel, which is kind of hydrocarbon or its derivatives, which include natural resources such as coal, oil, and natural gas. The application of fossil fuels can make the industry develop on a large scale. However, the exploitation and combustion of fossil fuels will cause a lot of environmental hazards. Coal and oil are fossil fuels that are exploited and utilized by contemporary human beings, thus causing serious environmental pollution which attract people's attention nowadays. As far as renewable energy is concerned, biofuels refer to fuel ethanol, biodiesel produced by biological resources which can partially replace gasoline and diesel made from petroleum, and is an important direction for renewable energy development and utilization. Although biofuel is slightly inferior to fossil fuel in energy density, it is incomparable to fossil fuel in production, energy consumption, and environmental protection. At present, the raw material of biofuel mainly includes soybean, rapeseed, corn, and other food crops, coconut oil, palm oil, linseed oil, and other plant foods, kitchen waste oil such as waste foods and beverage oil. For an example, the main raw material for global biodiesel production is soybean oil, accounting for about 67%, followed by corn oil and rapeseed oil. Third is a clean and sustainable forest provide a safer habitat for wildlife. Forests are so important that the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO) designated Forest and Life as the theme of World Food Day in 1991, which purposed to show how forests can help mankind achieve the goals of sustainable development. It is necessary to emphasize that forests have the function of lasting productivity. While preserving the source base for future generation, they can meet the needs of continuous development of current production. People should be reminded that forests can not only provide food and fuel, but also have the most fundamental value of provide a habitat for wildlife. When acidic chemicals combine with their air pollutants in the atmosphere, acid rain will be formed under the action of water droplets. Effects of acid rain may vary with where it falls and the composition of local rocks and soil. Alkaline soil can help buffer the impact of acid rain and reduce the impact of local lakes. However, when acid rains fall in some soils, acid can destroy important microorganisms and insects living in soil and live little. When the acid rain and snow enters rivers and lakes, it can kill fish and their eggs. Many fish eggs cannot survive when the pH value is lower than 5. The main reasons for the extinction or endangered species and the decreasing biodiversity are there are large area of forest is cut, burned, and reclaimed by various human activities, and the grassland is overgrazed and cultivated, which leads to a great loss of ecological environment, and what remains is fragmental, which have devastating impact on wild species. The disappearance of a large area of wetlands has caused many kinds of creatures to lose their habitats. The effect if we do not build a greener world are obvious. The one that has the greatest impact on Earth is that it increases the greenhouse effect. Because not many trees can absorb the carbon dioxide emitted, thus reducing the amount of gas in the atmosphere. This contributes to the increase of the frequency and intensity of extreme meteorological phenomena of climate change. We also found that the land use has changed. The existing biodiversity in places with large forest area is affected by fragmentation of their ecosystem and habitats. This leads to decrease of biodiversity and the extinction of species. The goal of environmental protection and establishing a greener world is to research and prevent the natural environment from deteriorating as a result of human existence, production, and also construction activities. We are looking forward to reduce and eradicate pollution and environmental harm caused by many reasons, as well as to improve and safeguard the environment's beauty. In the conclusion, greener world is necessary for our survival because it will slow down the effects of climate change, conservation of natural resources, and wildlife will begin to flourish again. Hope this sharing has been beneficial to you today and raise your awareness in the necessary in building a greener world. Thank you for listening.